Hello, hope you're doing well. Welcome back to more Rocket League news. I hope you guys all enjoy, and thank you all for watching our last video. It was great to see the comment section kind of become a forum for all of you guys to share your thoughts on the recent roster trades. We'll of course talk about those later in this episode, and as always, all things we do talk about will be timestamped down below if you guys do want to jump around. The first of which we're going to talk about is actually the announcement of WSOE number 4, a $100,000 tournament for less than 2 weeks time, and it could not be better timed as well because most of the teams there, well, 10 of our top teams in the world, are going to be newly formed rosters or at least have some sort of changes there, as the qualifiers have pretty much wrapped up, guys. We solidified 9 of our 10 teams so far. A bit of a surprise actually out of European side of things so far will actually be PSG. Now flip side, not a surprise, they actually played very well throughout all of their series, not dropping more than one game, and they look very strong to do so. PSG though, certainly a surprise, slipping through the seams there, because if you guys did not hear, unfortunate news for Team Savage, actually newly of the RLCS. Congrats to Bluey and those boys. I love that team. I cannot wait to cheer for them. Unfortunately though, the team did not actually sign up with a substitute player, and therefore, because the tournament went so late, it was actually allegedly team member Alpha who had to study for exams the next day, and therefore went to bed. Of course, schooling taking precedence over this qualifier, because they still could have lost to PSG, although I would say in that series, I certainly would have favored Team Savage, a team certainly on the rise as well, and those guys certainly can click in several series out there, but it will be PSG. Because of that, it was actually Team Savage having to forfeit. They did not sign up for this tournament, this qualifier with a substitute player, and therefore had to forfeit that match to PSG, who again, like I said previously, certainly slipped through. Now on the North American side, no surprise, just like flip side out of European side, G2 also qualify. It will be though a surprise team known as Afterthoughts, guys, beating out teams like Rogue, Ghost Gaming, EG, alongside teams like Bread, who also recently qualified for RLCS. So definitely some surprise teams here and there for these qualifiers actually making it through, but nonetheless, we've solidified 9 of our 10 teams so far, and these 10 teams, well, besides of course the teams we just announced, some of these teams have actually seen some huge changes. And alongside many big changes out there, of course, the rebranded TSM roster, they officially joined Rocket League with formally signing the WDG roster, so congrats to them. But of course, in biggest news today, must be talked about, it will be the Dignitas dynasty potentially coming to an end. Of course, that trio will come to an end today, as actually Kaydop joining the Vitality roster seemingly out of nowhere. Now, some people probably expected this, others saying, of course, an era there for Dignitas, arguably one of the best Rocket League teams, if not the best team in history for Rocket League themselves, guys, back-to-back RLCS victories themselves. And it does seem, after just 2 results, which by many organizations would be still very strong results, guys, at these past 2 tournaments, E-League Cup as well as RLCS last season, definitely 2 strong finishes, but for them might be called subpar. That might have contributed to this change, leaving this roster for Vitality to replace Pashcy. If you guys do not follow Pashcy, guys, him announcing pretty much his retirement from competitive Rocket League to pursue some of his own aspirations and goals out there. This is nonetheless though some huge news, probably the biggest trade we will see, or the biggest loss of a roster we will see all year long, guys. Dignitas dynasty and the era there has now ended, and who will replace him? Well, the rumors are just now beginning, guys. Of course, GarretG is on the tip of the tongue for many teams out there. It was when G2 lost Kronovi, he was the first one, a speculative prospect for that roster. He actually comes up again in this. I do not think he will leave NRG for this roster, but if he was to leave NRG for one team out there, you might consider it to be Dignitas, and of course Turbo not helping anyone out. He tweets out these cryptic tweets which do hint at that possibly being a move. I don't think it's going to happen, but nonetheless, guys, a huge change here as the Dignitas era, the dynasty, has now officially ended today. And call me crazy, guys, I think this second trade is arguably a bigger trade. First of all, it's the first ever intercontinental trade in Rocket League, guys, that being an Oceania player going to North America, and it will be, and I would say, a huge blow for the Chiefs fans out there, anyone who does cheer for that team. Although I do wish them the best, I still think they'll be a favored team no matter who they replace him with in Oceania. They'll probably still be back at RLCS playoffs for Season 7. It will be, though, Drippay leaving the Chiefs roster, guys, and replacing Chicago, who had left the Evil Geniuses roster. And I think if you're going to replace anyone with that kind of experience, certainly a good pickup for this roster, an immediate improvement after losing Chicago, a young talent I think still has a lot of potential. But if there is any player who deserves to come out of Oceania and actually join this roster, it would certainly be Drippay, a player, in my opinion, I would say could be considered the carry throughout Season 6 for that roster. And it's kind of crazy to see a trio like that make history in Oceania. Like I said previously, if there's any team who deserves to send a player off to a larger region, either Europe or North America, it is certainly this Chiefs Esports roster, guys. A trio who actually took the deepest run ever in RLCS history, has now lost, I would say, one of their most important members. Obviously going to be a great pickup for EG, a team who I thought, even though they, of course, we saw them in RLCS main stage, I thought a team that Ghost Gaming could certainly have beaten. Had a lot of close series out there. I think maybe a team who considered widely got pretty lucky throughout their season matches. But again, that's because I'm an obvious Ghost Gaming fan. fan. Besides that, though, a very huge pickup here, guys. A huge blow for Chief Esports. I still think they'll be a favorite out of Oceania, guys. I cannot wait to see who they announce to replace this guy, but Drippay will be joining Evil Geniuses, guys. Again, the first intercontinental trade out of Oceania to North America, and certainly well-deserved by this guy. And then very lastly, guys, I would say in some anticlimactic news, given our first two trades were just so historical, it will be the trade for Mousesports, guys. Unfortunately enough, it will be actually for Skyline leaving that roster. It will be, though, a lot from Complexity to replace him. Now, remember, guys, Mousesports, I have widely talked about these guys throughout my past episodes over RLCS Season 6. A very, very underwhelming team throughout that season, only coming away with 2 victories, somehow retaining their spot, I would say, by luck. Complexity, also a team who actually was relegated. It was Mousesports just barely hanging on, so I'll give them that, guys. They go to relegation or promotional playoffs, and they do hang on, but still, a big change to them, guys. They'll be pulling up a lot, who I do think, I will say this, a lot has, ironically enough, a lot of potential if they can actually open him up and release that kind of skill cap. I think he is definitely a talented player, one of the best to possibly replace Skyline on the roster, and I think this will be an immediate improvement for Mousesports. But in my mind, this team has a lot to prove to me, because I would say I would love to have seen an RLRS team replace these guys and have them prove them back selves through promotional playoffs instead of having to hang on for this spot. It's amazing to me that we still have a 2-win team who can retain their spot. I'm done dissing them, though. I think it's a great pickup. He has a lot of potential for this roster, and certainly I would say in my books an improvement from Skyline, but best of luck for him on his future as well. But as always, I hope you guys all enjoyed this Rocket League episode, and it's just my opinion, right? It's very subjective. Feel free to leave a comment down below what you guys think about these trades so far, and I'll continue to cover these before we enter Season 7, guys. We have a few months or a couple months still until that season does start, but I am so excited to see how these rosters do play out, especially in less than 2 weeks' time at WSOE 4. Who's going to win it all, guys? Well, that's a question mark that I will not have answered, because I usually get predictions wrong. But as always, guys, my name is Jake. I hope you guys all enjoyed this episode of Rocket League Drama and News. I will see you all back here sometime soon with more, and until then, I'll see you soon.